The final presenter for this session is Tony Perry, Program Manager for GSWA's Geoscience Data Transformation Program. The program is a 5-year project aimed to digitally transform GSWA's vast data repository. Tony is an experienced data management specialist who has worked in geoscience for over 30 years.
Thanks, Michelle, and you've got me, I think, just before lunch, so I'll try and make this as interesting as quick as possible. I just stood up here last year, actually, presenting on the programme, and at the time we were just getting going. So I've got a bit more to tell you today and some interesting news, which I'm hoping will excite you all. It excites me. But I think the other thing we need to also remember that really this programme is around accessibility and getting more use of our data. And of course, we have to acknowledge the traditional landowners, the Whadjuk people of Noongar Nation, who really, without their support, we would not be able to actually acquire the data that we have available to us today. So I'm going to go through and give you some very brief overview in terms of, oops, done this the wrong thing. In terms of just a reminder in terms of the actual timeline that the programme is working to, before we sort of delve into some new updates for you in terms of what we have been doing over the last couple of years. Now, we are in that 23 time frame there, but we have to remember there was some work done very early on. You heard Simon mention and Minister Bill Johnson mention in his address this morning around the fact there was a strategy, a geoscience data management strategy, or data transformation strategy, that the programme is trying to deliver against. So we have some very specifics in terms of what we need to deliver. Now we're trying to work out how we do make those deliverables happen, and obviously being able to actually enhance your experience when accessing our geoscience data. So I'm not going to go too much into it, but basically there's some important things to note in that time frame. Is one, really, we are running through until about 2026 as a programme, but also to note there the piece around change management, and also importantly within that is our a need to make sure we're engaging with yourselves as industry around the work we're doing to try and make that information more accessible. We do have an external reference group going. I know some of you are here today from that group, so thank you for coming along and hearing more about the programme. But I do encourage, if anybody else is interested in getting involved in what this programme is doing and how it's doing it, you can certainly get in contact with us, certainly through, we've got some cards at the back there on the south side, and of course in your programmes you'll have access to QR codes as well. So just moving forward, just as a bit of a reminder in terms of what this programme's doing, we're trying to tackle everything from the storage of our data right through to the accessibility of it, the discovery of it, the lodgement, so how can we actually improve the processes around how we manage information coming into the department, through into the optimization of data, the scanning, the making data that's currently physical digital and making that available to yourselves, right through to standards, which is a key component to what we are doing as well. So certainly on the vocabulary side, going back and redefining and looking at some of the way we actually reference our geological terms against that data. And of course, we've got my geology piece, which for us is our internal systems. What can we do to actually improve the way that our internal systems are managing that data? Can we consolidate some of those systems into less and make it easier for us to manage it? The piece in the middle really talks about the two other key components. One is integration. Obviously, we need to make sure we've got a way of trying to bring all these different aspects of the programme together, and again, the data together to make that more seamless and more searchable. And then that other piece, which we've just started to do some work on now, is around the governance. So the data governance piece, the roles and responsibilities, the defining of quality standards, the understanding of the processes that we need to do to manage that data, and who is responsible for making sure those processes still remain fit for purpose. So there's a lot of work we're doing as a programme, and hence why the 5-year programme has a lot to try and take in and deliver against in that time frame. So a bit of a reminder for those who haven't seen this is basically where we're operating against. It's everything from ingestion of data coming in through to the management internally, and then outward to our discovery portal, which I'll mention in a minute, and obviously everything in between in terms of enabling our data sets to be available for allowing you to do more machine learning, more AI going forward. All right, so here's some interesting news for you, I hope. So as mentioned about standards and particularly vocabularies, we have been doing a lot of work over the last year and a half, nearly 2 years now, and trying to define these vocabularies. We've got roughly about 167 defined vocabulary terms that we are trying to work through to understand, to tidy them up, to make sure they're current, and to also engage with other jurisdictions, other states, to see whether that aligns to what they're doing, but also recognising WA GSWA can be quite unique in terms of what it needs to do. And we are about to release, it's a new for today for you, we're about to release an open source API called VocPress, or Press is the API. Voc is for vocabularies. This, when released in the next few weeks, will allow you to start looking at our vocabularies as we've defined them and as they've actually gone through the approval process and made available. So those of you that are interested in standardized terminology, you might be interested in getting on board and looking at these vocabularies that we're releasing through this platform. Like I say, this will be made available through our Geoscience Data Transformation Program website, which again, I've referenced you can get access to through the QR codes, either through the cards or your brochure. So that will be released hopefully in the next few weeks. There are currently 16 new or redefined vocabularies that are currently sitting in that portal. And once you've got access to that, it'll give you a chance to review them. You can certainly comment, and that'll grow. So we get through the other 167 we have to deal with. Those vocabularies will grow accordingly on this platform. The other thing I mentioned about data optimization, now this has been a key part of the program for the last couple of years, and this is really understanding the amount of work we have to do to try and cleanse our current data sets, make the physical data into digital, doing the tape transcription work, the scanning. So you'll notice there we've actually tackled probably in excess of 40,000 items to date. In that process of optimizing our data sets. And over time, those data sets will be made available through the cloud, so moving those to the cloud, and then eventually available through various mechanisms, which I'll talk about shortly. So a lot of work in that space. You'll hear this afternoon after lunch from Jacinta, specifically around the thin sections, which will be quite interesting in terms of some of the work we're doing there. But certainly we're doing everything from scanning to digitizing logs, seismic sections, to cleansing metadata as well within those data sets. Now, I'm showing this slide as well, so I was talking about discovery. So we're making these data sets available in the cloud, but how are we actually going to make these discoverable for you guys going forward? Now, this is a conceptual diagram to date. Again, we've only just started that journey around discovery, the portal side of how we're going to improve that process for you. This is kind of trying to show on the left-hand side there, for those of you aware of our systems currently, a lot of you are using GeoView for accessing your information, or WAPIMS is another application which is used to date. But at the moment, that GeoView interface kind of links into some of the other existing databases behind the scenes to allow you to get access to your current data sets. The new lodgement portal, when we've built that, and it'll take us a bit longer, a good sort of 12 to 18 months before we really probably get that out there. But the idea is that portal will allow greater expanse of searchability across all our data sets and all our different databases going forward. So again, having a one-stop shop basically for where you can access and download your information from going forward. So we are working on it, and I mentioned before about feedback we want from industry. There is a focus group we're about to kick off at the end of this month, specifically looking at data discovery and understanding what are the types of functionality that you would like to see as industry when you think about searching and downloading of information. The other thing which is new for us as well is WAPIMS. So those of you that do use WAPIMS, you may have noticed, if you haven't, go back and have a look, you may have noticed a slight change to the interface for WAPIMS. Some new things on there. You'll hear, I think, a little bit more about that later on as well. But for us specifically, in WAPIMS, we've started to load data into the cloud. To make the petroleum data available, you'll notice now if you do a search and you come up with results, you'll start to see in your WAPIMS search, I'll just the next slide actually, you'll start to see, in this example, you'll start to see on the left-hand side where you can start now to actually download that data direct from WAPIMS. So no longer have to put a request in, you can actually download it direct from WAPIMS. You'll note the red marker there as if it's obviously not available yet for download, it'll tell you such. Obviously, over time, eventually you'll see all those go green. So this is exciting for us and hopefully exciting for yourselves. As we push more data into the cloud, you'll start to be able to actually self-serve yourself, certainly from a WAPIMS perspective, whilst we develop our larger discovery portal in the future. And the other thing to note, which I'm hoping some of you will be very interested in, it's coming soon, so we're nearly there with it, is we're actually creating a new WOMEX front end, so the minerals side of things. At the moment, a lot of you, if you want to get access or textual search for your mineral data, you'll go through GeoView. We've appreciated there's a bit of a clunky system at the moment for doing that search for mineral information in GeoView. So we've actually built, or in the process of just final testing, this front end, which will give you very similar functionality to what you see in WAPIMS, but for mineral side in WOMEX. which will allow you to do those searches. And again, in the same way, where that data has been made available online, you can download it or do the usual request. But over time, you'll see the more data being coming on stream and available. You'll see those items go green. You can download more information. So really that's for me to sort of finish up for now, to sort of say, look, there are some really interesting things happening to date. I'm hoping you're starting to see some movement and some transition in what we're doing in terms of making that data available, and some of the aspects of what we're doing as a program to help you improve on your ability to search, view and download information. But please, you can actually come and see us in the South Foyer there if you want more information on it. I've had a few come in to me this morning asking sort of similar questions around how they can get access to this data, and they're quite excited about what they're starting to see us do. And of course, the remainder of the program will see that mature over time, and as more we do that, the more we can actually push data out to yourselves to make that available. But there are some things you can actually look and demo now, and the other one which will be quite interesting to you as well is, again, which I know Jacinta will talk about this afternoon, but there is some interesting stuff happening with our thin sections, which you can actually also view out in the foyer with us. On that note, I'll leave you to almost be at lunchtime. Thanks, Michelle.